Senator Birmingham.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I'm astounded that with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock that Senator Carr had run out of bluff and bluster, he'd run out of rhetoric, he'd run out of the capacity. No, Senator Collins, I will make sure that I nail Senator Carr and his hypocrisy, Senator Collins. Have no fear on that. Have no fear on that, Senator Collins. I'll make sure we nail Senator Carr and his hypocrisy and yours as well. Because, Mr Deputy President, we just heard from the Jeremy Corbyn of Australian politics. I think Senator Carr he's the great unreconstructed left-winger. I think Mr Corbyn is perhaps if he could be the love child of Senator Carr and Senator Rhiannon I see over there, that's probably what Jeremy Corbyn would be.
Senator Birmingham,
Mr Deputy President, Mr Deputy President, to be serious for a minute. Senator Carr, Senator Fawcett says he thought I was. Well, Senator Fawcett, I think Mr Corbyn's a little too old to be the love child of Senator Carr and Senator Rhiannon. But
Senator Birmingham,
I think philosophically he certainly
question
is.
Before the chair.
Mr Deputy President, everything that the previous government touched in terms of policy reforms was completely half-baked. Completely half-baked. And we are indeed as a country paying a price for that. And in the education space that's crystal clear as well. Because when the former government decided to provide for demand-driven systems in terms of undergraduate places at university or in terms of funding of diplomas and advanced diplomas through vet fee help, in both instances they never considered the full implications and the full ramifications. And what this government has had to do in these areas is come in and deal with the half-baked reforms and the half-baked policies of the previous government and attempt to fix them up. Now, we just heard Senator Carr go on a rant about the out-of-control loan scheme, the out-of-control loan scheme of vet fee help. Well, of course, the out-of-control loan scheme of vet fee help was introduced in 2012 by the previous government. Complaints about it came about in those early days, were received by the previous government, were received by the regulator, were received by the Department of Education. And what happened in response to those complaints about the operation of the loan scheme that the previous government set up, that Senator Carr criticises so widely? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Senator Carr then comes in here and wants to shout and bellow and point the finger across the chamber and say, what's the new government doing? But of course, in all of that shouting and all of that bellowing and all of that criticism suggesting that our reforms are not enough, did Senator Carr have one policy suggestion? Did he have one proposal of what he might do or what the Labor Party might do? No, because it's all empty rhetoric. It's all, of course, just a lot of shouting and bellowing and ranting and raving from Senator Carr and the Labor Party on this topic. So let's have a look, in relation to vet fee help, at what this government has done to fix the problem created by the previous government. The problem created of the previous government of what I agree is an out-of-control loan scheme that the previous government set up, of what I agree is being rorted by shonks and fraudsters, and is giving the majority of good, high-quality vocational education and training providers out there a bad name. So this government has taken action. On the 1st of April this year, we banned inducements. We banned the offering of free laptops, free iPads, cash giveaways, etc. And I see the media reports in relation to that continued practice today, and I assure Senator Carr that there will be action coming against those providers named in that media report. It is absolutely my intention that, if need be, we will execute one to educate many. If we have to execute more, that will be exactly what occurs. And I see Senator Carr and Senator Marshall Riley smiling at, of course, the use of a little left-wing rhetoric in that regard, which I know would appeal to the two of you very much, and I'm sure to Senator Rhiannon as well. So we have banned those inducements. We've banned withdrawal fees. We've banned withdrawal fees. I don't think that's terribly likely, Senator Carr. We've banned withdrawal fees. We've banned withdrawal fees. I'll be very happy to still be in this job because I'm very passionate about this job. I'm very passionate about cleaning up the mess that you left, Senator Carr, and making sure we leave the place in a much better environment. We've banned those inducements. We've banned withdrawal fees. It was apparently the case that some providers were charging students up to $1,000 to exit from a course. So we've banned those withdrawal fees. Took effect from the 1st of July this year. We've banned advertisements that talk about vet fee help being free or government funded, or suggesting that you will never earn enough to pay it back, because we want people to know that it is a loan. It's not a grant, it's not a giveaway, it's a loan. It goes on your credit rating, it impacts on your capacity to borrow for a house or a car or anything else, and you are expected to earn enough from that training to get a job and to be in a position to pay it back. Importantly, and particularly importantly given today's media stories, the reforms we put in place from the 1st of July make registered training organisations responsible for the actions of their brokers. So no more will anybody be able to say, well, it wasn't one of our employees who did this awful act, who was out there targeting vulnerable people, engaging in some terrible behaviour, because the RTO will be responsible for the actions of those brokers. And the consequences for RTOs, if the brokers do the wrong thing, could well be loss of their status as a vet fee help provider, loss of their registration as a training organisation, fines, penalties or otherwise. I'm determined, if we have to put people out of business to fix this system, that is exactly what we will do. We've applied a 2-day cooling off period that will take effect from the 1st of January between enrolment and being able to apply for the vet fee help loan. This, of course, is about trying to stop door-to-door activities, trying to stop people being targeted in supermarkets, because there will have to be at least 2 points of contact from the individual before they can get the vet fee help loan. They'll have to be enrolled first and a cooling off period before the loan application can be signed and made. We'll be banning from the 1st of January the upfront levying of the full debt load in one hit, regardless of the student's progression. So once again, changing the incentive, which absolutely, under the program Labor set up, the incentive is far too loaded towards simply enrolling people, getting a signature on the piece of paper, having them enrolled, having them signed up for the loan, and then you can slug them the entire $15,000 or whatever the cost of the course is upfront in one hit. That practice will end under this government. We will be making sure that there must be 4 separate payments, that the incentive changes from one of just signing somebody up to one of actually having people who will progress through the course and deliver, ultimately, qualified people who are there for the right reasons. Importantly, in addition to that, we'll be putting in place minimum standards of educational qualifications, Year 12 standard or equivalent, to make sure that those who are signing up for those courses actually have the capacity to do them. Because vet fee help only applies to high-level vocational education qualifications, to diploma and advanced diploma courses. And we want to make sure that the Australians who sign up for those courses are people who have the capability of undertaking those courses and completing those courses to earn the qualification. It's all about shifting the incentive, as I say, from just signing people up to knowing that you actually have to sign up people who can do the course, who intend to do the course and are capable of completing the course. We'll be applying new infringement notices which will hit providers with fines for breaches of all of these standards and guidelines from the 1st of January. We'll have power to remit the debt and recoup costs from providers plus penalties from the 1st of January. We'll make it easier for students who have been unfairly targeted, treated in any way, to get their debt waived, but importantly, we want to do that in a way where it's not the taxpayer who has to foot the bill, which is largely the case under the arrangements the previous government established. If the debt is waived because the provider's done the wrong thing, then the provider should pay. And not only should they pay for that waiving of the debt, but they should pay a penalty for doing the wrong thing as well. And our reforms will ensure that that is the case as well. We're going to raise the bar on the standard of providers who can access vet fee help too. From the 1st of January, only those with a proven history of operating for at least 3 years, and in doing so offering high-quality, high-level vet courses, will be able to be approved for vet fee help. So, Mr Deputy President, I won't accept coming into this chamber and being lectured by Senator Carr, who sits there and cries out and says that we are negligent and we're not doing anything about it. We are doing a lot about it.
So
we're doing an awful lot.
You're doing so much, why is it still continuing?
Order.
Senator Carr, you know an awful lot about being all talk because, as I pointed out, in your contribution you made not one suggestion. You were all complaint and no action. You of course, we're fixing your mess, Senator Collins. That's what we're fixing. You established it. We're fixing it. Now the reforms we're introducing are not all in place. Well, Senator Carr, when I bring legislation for the next wave, Senator Carr, listen for a second, because when I bring legislation to this place, to fix this, I look forward to your contribution containing more. I look forward to your. So what are you going to do? So what are your policies, Senator Carr? Because there's been absolutely no suggestions from you, no suggestions whatsoever. So the challenge for you, Senator Carr, is when I bring legislation to this place for this next bunch of reforms, make some suggestions, have some policies, have an idea of your own, because you created this mess and you've come up with not one single idea of how to fix it yet. You're devoid of any ideas, Senator Carr. The Labor Party is devoid of any ideas. All you can do is moan and bitch and whinge and carry on, but you don't have a single fresh idea. You don't have a single idea or policy to fix this. So have the courage. Have the courage to come in here and tell us what else you would do. What else you would do in addition to all of the measures that we have already outlined that we are pursuing. Those that started with the new RTO standards on the 1st of April, the banning of certain practices on the 1st of July, the other practices that will take effect and change from the 1st of January. And I do emphasise, Senator Carr, you say it hasn't been fixed yet. Well, not all of the measures that I've announced have taken effect yet either. They have not taken effect yet either. No, there's no gunner about this, unless of course you're going to block it in the Senate or play any silly buggers. So, assuming we have your support, which I trust we do, given your lofty rhetoric.
Senator Birmingham, it would be appropriate for you to make your comments through the chair, and a little order from those on the opposite side of the chamber too. Thank you, Senator Birmingham.
Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy Speaker. President, sorry.
You're
the only one who served in the other place. But you're the only one who served in the other place. Now, this government has also provided additional funding to the Australian Skills Quality Authority, an organisation, again, which I note the previous government established. We get complaints from Senator Carr about how that organisation operates and some of its failings. A toothless tiger, he says, a toothless tiger. Guess which government set up the legislation for that toothless tiger, so he says. Guess which government appointed not one of the commissioners, not two of the commissioners, but all three of the commissioners. It was your government that did so. Your government that did so. What have we done about it? Well, we have new standards for training organisations that have come into effect this year. We've provided $68 million in additional funding to them. We've provided another $18.9 million in compliance funding for vet fee help activities in particular. So, Senator Carr, you say, what have we done? I've spent the entire session trying to explain to you what it is we've done about it. Now, Senator Carr, what we are doing in this space, as we do right across government, is clean up your mess. And what I find remarkable today—
can I remind you to speak through the chair?
Well, Madam Acting Deputy President, happy to speak through the chair. I would have thought you might remind others about interjections occasionally too.
And I have indeed asked for order from those on the opposite side.
To some extent. Oh, don't tempt me, Senator Collins. Because it is quite remarkable, Senator Collins, through the chair, it's quite remarkable, Senator Collins, that the legislation we have today After all the bellowing from Senator Carr, about all of the problems that he doesn't have any solution to fix, the one thing he thinks is the priority issue to bring before the chamber, the one matter he thinks is the most important reform to bring before the chamber, relates to New Zealand people, relates to the access for New Zealanders to our higher education system. Now, the government supports this policy. We're happy indeed to have this passed. It's been part of legislation that Labor has voted against, not once but twice. So, Madam Acting Deputy President, we are very happy with the policy proposal of Senator Carr, though why on earth it would be the priority of him to bring it forward as this sort of political stunt rather than as a package of reforms that the government has proposed is beyond me. He thinks this is the priority issue, yet he complains about other areas where he thinks vulnerable Australians are being targeted, which they are with bad loans, where he thinks the taxpayer is being ripped off, which they are with those bad loans, where he thinks the government is not acting, and yet we are, with many, many actions, and Senator Carr has not one single idea of his own in what to do. His only idea applies to New Zealand citizens. His only idea is about making it easier for more people to access student loans. That, of course, is exactly what the previous government did before, when they set up the demand-driven funding system for universities, for those bachelor places and undergraduate places, when they set up the vet fee help scheme. All of those policies of the previous government were about making it easier for people to access student loans. And then he comes here and complains about the blowout in those student loans, complains about the failings of those student loans, and yet the only legislation he offers to this chamber, the only reform he offers to this chamber, is to expand access to student loans to New Zealanders as well. The hypocrisy is really quite astounding. Now, this government supports the concept of extending higher education loan program to New Zealanders, to those who have been in Australia for a long time, meeting specified conditions. The previous government, of course, proposed this measure, but not unlike many ideas that the previous government proposed, they never actually did anything about it, and now they come in here and say they want to do something about it. We affirmed our support for this in a joint statement with Prime Minister Key in 2014, and not once but twice we have actually tried to legislate for the measures that are before the chamber. Not once but twice. And not once but twice the Labor Party have voted against those measures. The Labor Party that comes in here and tries to sincerely say we think this is important have voted against those measures. Now, the passage of this bill would not itself actually give effect to the shared desire to extend help loans to this special category of New Zealanders, because to do so requires the money to cover it to be appropriated. And of course this bill does not appropriate money. But not having the money, of course, has never been a concern for the Australian Labor Party. The Labor Party is always very happy to do things without knowing where the money would come from or having the money. The Department of Education and Training has said that, assuming a start date of 1 January 2016, the estimated cost for this would be around $12 million over the period 1 January 2016 to the end of the 2019-20 financial year. To reject this bill will not necessarily prevent this category of New Zealand students getting access to help loans, precisely because this bill will not have the effect of giving them access. So once again, it is a half-baked policy proposal from the Labor Party. A half-baked policy proposal, the likes of which, of course, are reflected in everything else they did in the education space under the previous government, in their failure to set up the demand-driven scheme for universities in an effective way that would drive the right incentives for behaviour in universities, in their failure to set up the vet fee help scheme in an effective way that would ensure training providers and organisations were incentivised to attract quality students, deliver quality training and give those students quality qualifications. Instead, everything the Labor Party proposes is half-baked in its approach and in its measures. This legislation is no exception to that rule, and of course Senator Carr's hollow rhetoric that we heard before on the vet fee help subject is certainly no exception to that. where, despite being responsible for the problem, despite having done nothing about the problem when becoming aware of it in government, he still offers not a single solution but only empty criticism.
Senator Rhiannon.